Today, we're going to break down how a single comment from the new Supergirl, Milly Alcock, sparked this massive online feud. But really, this isn't just about one actor. It's the flashpoint in a much larger debate about Hollywood's relationship with you, the audience.
So how in the world did this all get started? Well, it all begins with Milly Alcock, the actress who was just cast as Supergirl in the new DC universe. And before a single frame of the movie was even shot, she gave an interview, and one specific quote just lit the fuse.
So when she was asked about the kind of intense online scrutiny that comes with playing such an iconic character, Alcock said this, and it was that phrase, ownership of women's bodies, that immediately became the absolute center of this huge online debate.
Now, for a pretty vocal group of commentators, this wasn't just some off-the-cuff remark, They saw it as a major red flag. They argued that she wasn't really talking about the movie, but was instead preemptively picking a fight with the very fans she was going to need to win over.
And that, right there, that brings us to the core of the whole argument. Was this just a one-off comment, something maybe taken out of context? Or is it, as some critics immediately claimed, part of a much larger, and honestly, a very recognizable pattern of behavior?
What's really fascinating here is how quickly the whole conversation just shifted. It stopped being about Milly Alcock's specific comment and suddenly became about this much broader accusation, that her statement fit into a familiar, and to some, a very troubling pattern.
In fact, online critics gave this whole phenomenon a name. They call it Rachel Zegler Energy. It's basically become shorthand for when an actor, during the pre-release press tour, says something that just comes across as dismissive of the original story or its fans, and it could potentially sink the movie before it even opens.
And yeah, that term, it comes straight from Rachel Zegler's press tour for Disney's live-action Snow White. Her interviews created a huge backlash, because a lot of people felt her comments showed a kind of disdain for the classic 1937 animated film, which really turned off fans of the original.
And then, of course, there's Brie Larson. She's another key example people point to. Her initial press tour for Captain Marvel was seen as pretty confrontational by a lot of folks. The argument goes that her later, much more subdued public appearances were a direct course correction because of that early fan backlash.
And look, the list doesn't stop there. People like Simu Liu, Pedro Pascal, and Mark Ruffalo have also been brought into this conversation. And the criticism is always pretty similar, that their public statements, often on social issues, just come across as preachy, and they end up alienating a large part of the audience that might have otherwise gone to see their movies.
Okay, but this was not a one-sided fight. Not at all. As soon as the criticism of Milly Alcock started, a powerful counterargument just erupted, creating a kind of backlash to the backlash.
So you had Alcock's defenders, like the commentator Angry Joe, pushing back and hard. They basically said her response was perfectly reasonable, that she didn't actually insult anyone, and that all the outrage was nothing more than a disingenuous, knee-jerk reaction to a complete non-issue.
But the rebuttal to that is that this sensitivity didn't just come from nowhere. This argument claims that after about a decade of feeling dismissed or even gaslit by Hollywood, a part of the audience is now just hypersensitive to any language that feels condescending, which explains that quick trigger reaction. All this tension, it really points to a fundamental shift in fandom itself. The idea here is that the stuff that sparks a controversy today is entirely different from the fan debates we used to see in the past.
And you can really see that shift so clearly right here. In the past, backlash was almost always about the casting decision. The question was, hey, is this actor right for the part? But today, the focus is all on the actor's personal statements, and the core question has become, wait a minute, is this actor attacking the audience?
I mean, look, controversial casting is nothing new. Fans were absolutely outraged when Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, was cast as Batman. The same skepticism hit Heath Ledger's Joker and Ben Affleck's Batman. But here's the absolute key difference. In all of those cases, the debate was about their acting ability, not about their off-screen attitude.
So what are the real-world stakes here? Why does any of this actually matter beyond just online arguments? Well, this perspective directly connects the souring actor-audience relationship to the financial health of the entire industry.
You see, in the age of social media, actors aren't just artists anymore. They're the frontline ambassadors for billion-dollar brands. Every interview, every tweet, it's all basically a form of customer service. They are, for all intents and purposes, the public face of the product they're trying to sell.
And believe me, the stakes could not be higher.
We're talking about the film industry seeing a jaw-dropping 30 to 40% drop in ticket sales compared to where things were before the pandemic. This isn't just a slump, it is a sign of an industry in very real trouble.
Now, to be fair, there's a lot going on here. The pandemic definitely changed how we watch movies, and the recent industry strikes had a massive impact. But the argument being made here is that a key, self-inflicted wound has been the consistent alienation of the core movie-going audience.
Now, for contrast, look at someone like Ryan Gosling, who's held up as an example of a completely different approach. His take on the industry's problems is pretty simple. The burden is on Hollywood to win customers back, not on customers to just show up no matter what.
So when you boil it all down, the quotes, the backlash, the debates, it all comes down to a single, fundamental conflict. In an era where actors have a direct line to their audience, are they artists with a message, or are they the public face of a product? And when those two roles collide, who do they ultimately answer to?